What's up, everybody? It's your boy Phil Porto, photographer, videographer, and educator. And today on the channel, what I want to talk about is what to do when a wedding day has a weather forecast of rainy with a slight chance of, man, this frickin' sucks. Not really, but it is highly unfortunate. I doubt any couple, when planning their dream wedding, are thinking of rain clouds or flooded streets. And I doubt that there's any couple out there, when envisioning their perfect wedding day, are thinking of the sound of wedding bells mixing harmoniously with the sounds of thunderstorms. However, we do not have to let this rain on their parade. See what I did there? Dad jokes. All day, every episode, dad jokes. You'll get used to it. They're fun, they're great, I'm good at them, we'll keep it going. So, what I want to do in today's video is talk about how we can make sure that this does not drown out the couple's joy. So, I have 5 points for both wedding professionals and also for couples that may be watching. So, if you are a photographer or videographer and you are handling a wedding day with these kind of weather situations, or you haven't yet, but you might, watch this. And if you're a couple and you're worried about this possibility, which it happens, please watch. So first, I'm gonna talk to the couples. Number 1, experience. When hiring a professional photographer or videographer, it is so important to make sure that they are seasoned in this kind of situation. And the only way to really do that is to make sure that they have longevity in the industry. And not everybody can have been doing this for this many or that many years. People have to start somewhere. However, you want to make sure that this is not a curveball that if they're thrown, they're going to not be able to hit it out of the park. We want to make sure as professionals that you get the greatest photo and video content possible, and so experience and seasoning is really going to help that. So when making sure that you are looking for the right team to be in your corner, don't just look at it based on the dollar sign, because I know you may not want to hear this, but it's true, so I'm going to say it. Sometimes cutting costs on a wedding photographer and videographer is also cutting the experience that you are going to get, because the lack of seasoning and the lack of experience could lead to a situation like this where they do not really know how to navigate it, and it might affect your photo and video content. And that is not something you want to do. Like, out of all the things that you pay for in your wedding day, it is the only thing you keep. So please make sure that if you're trying to cut costs, find other ways to make that happen. Like, for instance, your wedding gown. It's going to be beautiful. It's going to be amazing. So make sure that you choose the right one. However, you are probably never going to wear it again. My wife looks stunning in hers, but we've been married for 10 years now, and I have not seen that dress since the wedding day. It's somewhere in a closet in the Northwest, in some family members, either closet or attic, but I've never seen it. So you don't want to cut too much cost there, because obviously you want it to make you feel good on your wedding day. You want to express yourself through it. It's going to be in all your photo and video, but you can cut cost a little bit there. The best place to cut cost, as much as we all love delicious food, is in the meals that you provide to your guests. The guests are really not going to think any lesser of you if they have a little bit less costly meal. And if you think about it, the meal is going to be discarded in houses and airports and whatever all across the country and the world within that next week. So that's something you can certainly cut costs on. So if you want to make sure that you have great photo and video content to remember your day by, do not cut corners when it comes to the experience. Second, build a relationship with your photographer and videographer. If I'm honest, wedding photography and videography is super weird. Like, no other time can you get out of a shower and there be either a guy or a woman or both with photo and video cameras capturing the rest of your day, and that they will awkwardly tell you a little bit later to passionately make out. At any other point in time, that would be super, super creepy if some dude was holding a camera in his hand and saying, all right, guys, now it's time to make out. It's very, very weird. But it happens on wedding days. So to make sure that it's not super awkward and to make sure that you can actually trust those people, then you want to make sure that you build a relationship with them. This should not just be a blatant transaction that you pay money for and then you see them on the wedding day. These are the people that are going to be in your corner. They're going to be fighting for you. They're going to be making sure that your wedding photo and video content is something that you can celebrate for years to come. So build that relationship with them. Trust is something that has to be built. And the only way that you're going to trust them on your wedding day is if you build that relationship from the get-go. Third, be flexible. Brides and grooms, we know this is your wedding day. We are in it for you, and we do not want to make it about us. However, we need to have some flexibility in the case that the weather takes a turn for the worse. At times, there are going to be things that we are going to suggest. There are going to be things that you may not have necessarily wanted to do originally, but if it's the only time we're going to be able to get you that photo and video content that you really, really want, we ask you to consider being flexible. And yes, there are going to be things that, you got to make sure that you keep your foot down on because, it would go against your morals or against your beliefs or anything like that. And we never want to push in that direction. But a lot of times there are certain things that we can change to make sure that the weather does not ruin your experience. So please be flexible and know through that previous step of building a relationship that we would only suggest these things if it was the only solution for you. Fourth, fashionable umbrellas. Sometimes there is nothing we can do about the weather. Sometimes it's an unfortunate situation that it's going to rain from start to finish throughout that day. And no matter what we try, it's not going to work. So we want to make sure that you guys are safe and you guys can still create that content. So we always suggest having a fashionable umbrella. So it's best to do this ahead of time and to just plan for the worst case scenario instead of hoping that Amazon Prime will get that delivery to you in time or that your bridesmaid can sneak out early in the day and try to find one at Walmart. It's also not going to really be your style if it's something that you're just grabbing last minute. So we suggest looking for something that if it does rain, you could still look at your photos and say, man, we freaking killed it. So find something that is your style, whether it's a nice color or whether it's hiring a local artist to design something on the umbrella like a lot of brides have done with their leather coats or their jean jackets. So you could do something like that with your umbrellas. So always have that. We have gear as professionals, if we are experienced and seasoned. We have gear that can stand a little bit of rain. Obviously, if it's like a full-on thunderstorm and we can't get out, we're going to figure something else out. But if we can get out in the rain, we will. We are there for you guys, and we will make sure that happens. So we will be prepared, and we ask you guys to do the same. Point number 5, do not get discouraged. I try to let our couples know that there are tons of things that may happen on a wedding day that we can help with, that we can help do damage control. However, weather is something that is completely out of our control. And though me and the big man upstairs are wicked tight, there's certain things that are just out of my hands. And so we try to ask our couples not to get discouraged. And we know that this is easier said than done, and we're not trying to be insensitive. But what we are trying to say is that if you are discouraged, it'll show through all of your photo and video content throughout the whole day. It'll just show on your face, it'll show in your body language, and at the end of the day, you don't want to get your photos back and say, man, I can see that I was, upset or frustrated based off of things that were out of our control. So one thing I try to remind our couples is that if something like that was to go wrong, to just remember that at the end of the day, you're doing this because you love the person that you're saying I do to. So think about the fact that your bride and your groom are still going to be at the end of the aisle waiting for you, God willing. So if that's the case and weather does come, we ask you not to get discouraged, but to try and trust us. And that's why we try to build this relationship, because we want you to be able to say, hey guys, I'm really feeling this, or this is really getting the best of me, so that we can kind of pull you aside, give you a minute, kind of talk to you and walk you through these situations. So just try to be mindful of how you're feeling so that you can grab those emotions, take those thoughts captive, and set them aside so that you can enjoy the rest of your wedding day. So here's a little slideshow to show you guys that even if weather does take a turn for the worse, we can still give you a beautiful wedding experience. So for the second half of this video, I want to speak to the wedding professionals, the photographers and videographers who are doing this week in and week out. So for point number one, I said this to the couples, but I'm going to say it even more so to you. Experience is necessary. So what I mean by this is if you can think of the fact that a wedding day might have rain from start to finish, and you do not know how you would navigate that scenario and still get the couple the best wedding photos and videos that they paid for, then you might consider taking a step back and not taking on weddings at this time, but building that experience. So one thing that I really push in the industry is the importance of apprenticeship and second shooting. So many people want to go from point A to point Z like that. And it was through second shooting with good friends of ours, Rad Creative, that I was able to build the confidence to be able to handle weddings on my own. And so in so many industries, apprenticeship is a beautiful thing. And for some reason in the photography industry, it seems like people just want to skip that part and kind of look down on it. So gain that experience. Get to a point where you can say, no matter what the weather throws at me, if it throws a curveball, I'm gonna Babe Ruth the frick out of it and hit it towards the fences and make sure that this couple has the greatest experience possible. Until then, allow yourself to learn from others and to grow with others in the community. Have them invest in you. And if you don't know anybody who can do that, reach out to me. I would love to kind of pour into anybody that really needs it. So point number two, kind of goes with the whole experience thing as well, but know your camera. A lot of photographers are really great creatively. They can take a cool shot, they can pick out a great location. However, they don't really know their gear. And on a wedding day, especially when the weather is rough, that is the last thing you want, is to not know your camera. If you're given 10 to 15 minutes with a couple where there's clear skies for you to make magic, and you have to spend 5 to 7 minutes of that kind of making sure that your gear is working correctly, or that your settings are correct, or that your ISO, shutter speed, aperture, all that helped you to expose correctly, that is a complete waste of time and a disservice to your couple. You should be able to be walking and changing settings as you go, as the weather changes, and be able to just knock out those 15 minutes with the best experience possible for your couple. So know your gear. And like I said before, if you don't know your gear and you don't have the experience where you can do that, take a step back. It's okay to say, I'm not ready in this season to take certain things on. That's not humiliating. It's not foolish. It's actually wise. So use that wisdom. Point number three. I said this to the couple, but it goes even more so to you. Build a relationship with your couple. So many times I've had photographers and videographers reach out asking me how I'm able to get couples to trust me in certain scenarios, how they have tried to suggest certain things and the couple kind of shot it down really quickly. And so my question to them is always, okay, what did the relationship look like between the time that they gave you a deposit and the wedding day? And the answer is always the same. Well, we didn't really have much communication aside from few email things back and forth talking logistics. And that is the reason why couples do not trust you on the wedding day. So if you build that relationship, that trust is then earned. That trust can't just be given on a wedding day when they don't really know your heart for them. So allow them to get to know you, get to know them, and build that trust so that on the wedding day, when you do kind of speak up a little bit, the couples will trust you and that relationship will be intact. Wedding photography and videography is beautiful, but it's more than just pushing a button or capturing moments. It's actually trusting one another and actually knowing that the couple knows your heart and you know the couple's heart, and then beautiful magic is made from that. Point number 4. Look for pockets of time where the skies clear up. We live in such a technologically advanced era that we should have no problem getting on an app like AccuWeather or WeatherBug or even Apple Weather when it decides to work, and be able to find pockets of time where the sun is going to come out and the clouds are going to go away. And it's in those moments where you're able to then, based off the relationship that you've had with the couple, you're able to suggest certain things, such as moving your schedule or pushing your reception back for 15 minutes or moving portrait time from after the reception to before, based on the fact that this is the only time there will be clear skies. So use the resources that you have available to you, and those things can make a drastic difference in the couple's experience. Lastly, point number 5, educate your couple. And when I mean educate your couple, I mean give them the different scenarios that are available to them. Tell them, if we do this, this will probably be the outcome, but if we do this, this will be the outcome. And give them options. Give them the resources that they need to make the best decision for them. And so when I say to educate your couple, I also need you to realize that in educating your couple, you're still not forcing them to do what you want them to do. At the end of the day, it is their wedding, and you have to respect their final decision. But if you don't speak up, you're doing them a giant disservice. And so a lot of couples would rather have wet feet and muddy shoes with amazing photo and video content than dry feet and perfect shoes with no photo and video content. So make sure you at least speak up and give them the opportunity to make a decision that could drastically change the outcome of their wedding day. So if this was a good resource for you in any way, shape, or form, do me a favor and subscribe to the channel. Also, suggest to your friends that they should subscribe to the channel. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, or want me to elaborate more on any of the points that I had, please let me know in the comments and I will for sure get back to you guys. Also, I've made this resource available as a blog for couples and videographers and photographers on the Porto's website, wearetheportos.com/blog. So I thank you guys for joining us, and I look forward to talking to you in the next video. Deuces.